Hello, fifth graders. How are you today? So, I hope you're doing well and welcome to our lesson in English 5. We are in our first quarter, week 1, and we're going to discuss elements of a short story for the whole week. So, are you ready? So, let's start with day 1. Of course, there are learning objectives and learning or performance standards that you need to achieve at the end of our lesson for this week. So I hope you can attain those skills and learnings at the end of the week. So for day 1, let's have here some pictures of short stories. So are you familiar with them? Like Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Rapunzel. We also have Snow White and Sleeping Beauty. Oh, they are all stories about princesses. Okay, so for the girls who are very fond of princess stories, so we are all aware of these stories, diba? As early as at the age of 5, our mom or our sister would tell us stories about these princesses. Okay, so among these pictures or short stories, so which one have you read and which one are you most familiar with? Okay, so we have here some guide questions. So are you familiar with this picture? So a while ago um, we said that it was stories about princesses. So who are the characters in the picture? So mainly mostly the title of the story is the name of uh, the princesses in the story, like Cinderella, Snow White, Rapunzel. Okay, so can you give us a simple retell in one of the stories from the picture that you know? So have you or do you remember this story about Cinderella or Snow White? So we all know Snow White was given an apple, and she took a bite in this apple, and we all know that it was poison, right? And for Cinderella, it was about the story of a girl. Okay, so minaltrato siya ng kanyang stepmom after his dad passed away. And then, meron siyang stepsisters, the evil stepsisters. And one day, nag-invite yung prince for a ball. And so, yung glass slipper, and so on and so forth. So, I know you are all familiar with these stories. Okay, so you can retell the story in your class, or even if the stories that is not in the picture, so you can retell those stories, and you can group yourselves into 2 or 3 and share stories with your classmates, and then try to um, retell and interpret and discuss quickly the plot or the what are the things that happened in the story. All right, so let's have them. Okay, so we have here a quick overview of those stories. So, Cinderella is a kind hearted young woman who is mistreated by her stepmother and stepsisters. With the help of her fairy godmother, she attends a royal ball where she captures the heart of the prince. Despite obstacles, including losing her glass slipper, Cinderella's goodness prevails, and she finds her happily ever after. And for Beauty and the Beast, so Beauty and the Beast tells the story of Belle, a smart and compassionate girl who finds herself imprisoned in the castle of a fearsome beast. As Belle gets to know the beast, she discovers his kindness and learns to see beyond his appearance. Their unlikely friendship blossoms into love, breaking a curse that had transformed the beast and his servant. So we all know in Beauty and the Beast, diba si Beast, no? Nung he was kissed by Belle, he turned into a handsome prince, alright? And the rest is history. While Rapunzel is a young girl with long magical hair who has been trapped in a tower by an evil witch since she was a baby. With the help of a brave young man named Flynn Rider, Rapunzel escapes her tower and discovers the world outside for the first time. Along the way, she learns about friendship, love, and importance of following her dreams. And we also have Snow White. So Snow White is a beautiful princess who is forced to flee into the forest to escape her jealous stepmother, the evil queen. Okay, so alam natin na yung gusto nung kanyang evil queen ay siya ang pinakamaganda of them all, the most fairest of them all. Pero kapag tinatanong niya yung kanyang mirror, ang laging inilalabas ay si Snow White. So there, she befriends seven dwarfs who protect her and help her stay safe. Despite the queen's attempts to harm her with the poisoned apple, Snow White ultimately finds true love and happiness with a prince. Alright, and the last one is all about Sleeping Beauty. Sleeping Beauty, also known as Princess Aurora, is cursed by an evil fairy to fall into deep sleep on her 16th birthday after pricking her finger on a spindle. Despite the efforts of the good fairies to protect her, the curse comes true. However, true love's kiss from a brave prince awakens Aurora from her slumber, breaking the curse and bringing joy to the kingdom. So, and they all lived happily ever after. Okay, so those were the quick or the summary of those stories. Okay, so we have their five stories about princesses and how they met their happily ever after. Okay, so let's move on to day 2. Okay, and for day 2, we have here a question. Have you been a hero or heroine in your own way? And in what way? So we all know, not in the previous times, when you say a hero, you need to die, right? Fighting for your country. That is the basic knowledge that we have when we say the word or when we hear the word hero. And the hero that for us Filipinos, the first thing that comes to our mind when we say hero is of course our national hero. It's Dr. Jose Rizal. So, but the question here is, have you been a hero or heroine in your own way? Okay, and in what way? So nowadays, you don't need to die to be called a hero. Okay, when you do something good for the sake of others or for the sake of the common good, we can call you a hero already. And nowadays, they would say we have a modern hero. We have a lot of modern hero in our times. Okay, sometimes they call the teachers as the modern heroes. Sometimes our parents who are working in other countries, so we also call them our modern heroes. Okay, they do something good in their own little way. Our soldiers, the nurses and doctors during our pandemic, so they were the hero in our eyes during that time because they are taking risk, a lot of risk, just to take care and to really serve the people who are in need of their help. Okay, so think of something or in a way that you can see yourself, okay? Or have you seen yourself as a hero? Okay? Or meron bang nakapagsabi sa'yo na, wow, bayani ka talaga para sa akin? Alright? So, kumbaga may nagawa ka bang maganda sa kapwa mo na talagang pinasalamatan ka? And kumbaga, abot langit yung pasasalamat sa'yo because parang nabago mo yung kanilang buhay and you really saved them from something. Okay, so think of anything that have you done something good to others. Or in that way, we can consider you or you can consider yourself a hero or a heroine. Alright, so a while ago, we talked about something about Jose Rizal, okay? Because Jose Rizal is our national hero and we look up to him. Okay? So, Jose Protasio Rizal Mercado y Alonso Rialonda. Okay, so meron bang hindi nakakakilala sa atin kay Jose Rizal? Okay, and what he have done for our country. So, what did he do for our country? Okay, so pwedeng sabi nila, no, si Dr. Jose Rizal, hindi talaga siya yung nakipagpakbakan o like our other heroes like Andres Bonifacio, Antonio Luna, and our other heroes who risk their lives for the sake of our country. But napakalaki ng impact na ibinigay ni Jose Rizal sa ating mga heroes. Okay, so hindi siya lumaban gamit ang itak, gamit ang baril, gamit ang punyal, but ginamit niya yung kanyang husay at talino sa pagsulat para gisingin ang damdaming makabayan ng ating mga kababayang Pilipino tungkol sa pananamantala na matagal nang ginagawa sa atin ng mga Kastila. Okay? And through his books, through his novels, nagising no, yung damdamin ng makabayan ng mga Pilipino. And of course, Andres Bonifacio is one of those heroes who really look up to Dr. Jose Rizal. Idol na idol ni Ka Andres Bonifacio, si Jose Rizal. So in fact, he is the one who translated the Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, if I am not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, in Tagalog, para mas lalong maunawaan ng mga Pilipino because it was written in Spanish. Para naman yun mabasa ng mga Espanyol kasi it was directly pointed to the Spaniards. Okay, so what did he do for our country? Pinagbintangan siya na siya ang nagpasimuno ng mga pag-aalsa, and eventually sa sobrang talino ni Dr. Jose Rizal, he defended himself. Siya mismo ang nag-abogado sa kanyang sarili. But of course, alam naman natin kahit gaano kagaling si Dr. Jose Rizal, what the Spaniards wanted was to what? Mapatay siya because he is really a threat to the Spanish colonialism that time. Okay, and where can you see him? So, saan ba natin siya makikita? Sa mga textbooks, Leoneta, and even in the different countries around the world, meron siyang mga statue doon in honor of his heroism in our country. So, the bottom line is, hindi natin matatawaran yung ambag ni Dr. Jose Rizal sa ating bansa para makamit natin yung ating kalayaan from from the Spaniards, so who colonized us for 300 plus years, so 333 years. All right, so much of our AP discussion about Dr. Jose Rizal. Baka mawili tayo. So we have here, we need to unlock some content vocabulary. So these are the words that we are going to discuss in the next few slides. So we have here column A and column B. So what is the character? Okay, what is a character? It's the person, animal, or creature in a story. Setting, it is the time and place in which a story takes place or took place. As for plot is the sequence of events that make up story. And for theme, this is the central message or lesson that the author wants the readers to take away from the story. So for example, kindness, respect for parents, helpfulness, okay, so and so on and so forth. So now let's talk about the elements of a short story. A short story is made-up story that is not as long as a whole book, like a novel. Short stories are usually between 5 and 60 pages, or some or more, depending on the formatting, so you can read them in one sitting. They often focus on just one thing that happens, and they usually have only one or two characters. It consists of different elements, generally as characters, plot, conflict, setting, and the themes. So let's go over them one by one. Alright, so we have here the character. The character refers to the people, animals, or creatures in a story. Kumbaga, sila yung gumaganap doon sa ating kwento. Sa kanila umiikot ang storya. Alright? When we say setting, the setting of a story is the time and place where the stories or events unfold. So where does it took place? Is it in the forest? Is it in a castle? Is it in the province? Or in a falls, under the sea? Okay, so saan ba naganap? At anong panahon ba nangyari yung kwento? Okay, next we have the plot. Plot is a way for a story to be told. Stories are the events that make up the narrative, but plot is the way that events are actually presented. In broad terms, the plot is the description of events significant to the conflict and conflict resolution. So, sa madaling salita, ito yung pagkakasunod-sunod ng pangyayari na nagaganap sa isang kwento. And we have here yung mga parts ng plot. Hindi lang naman siya bastang inilatag dyan. So, merong sinusunod na sequence, for some, may sinusunod na sequence, pero for other writers who are more imaginative and more adventurous of their story, iniiba-iba nila, nilalagyan nila ng twist. Okay, so we have here, we can say parts of a plot, kung paano ba dumadala yung kwento. So we have here the exposition, wherein an introduction of characters, setting, and conflict, providing all the necessary background information. Meaning to say, sa exposition part or perhaps the first part of the story, doon ipinapakilala, ini-introduce yung ating characters, setting, and the backgrounder. Ano ba yung background information or the important things that we need to understand, or we need to know to understand the flow of the story. Next, we have here the rising actions. Okay. Okay. So, inciting incident muna. We have the inciting incident wherein the incident that leads the main character to conflict and begins the plot. Okay. So, dahan-dahan, slowly. First, we introduce the characters, the setting, and then papunta na. So, ibig sabihin, si main character slowly magde-develop na ang story wherein he meets the conflict. Kumbaga, habang dumadalaw yung kwento, unti-unti, doon na palalabasin yung conflict between two characters or between the character in itself or the character in its environment. Alright? So, ipapakilala na or ilalabas na unti-unti kung ano yung suliranin, yung problem or conflict na kakaharapin ni main character sa story. Now, we are now going to the rising action. So, what happens in the rising actions? The conflict develops and takes on newer, more complicated incidents leading to the climax. Okay. So, ito na si main character, nandun na, nagkaroon na ng conflict, nagkaroon na ng problema. Okay? So, for example, si Prince and si Princess, nag-start na silang getting to know each other, pero meron palang karibal si Prince kay Princess. And then, nagsanga-sanga na yung mga problema. Kasi, yung gusto ni Princess ay si Prince na yung kanyang getting to know each other, pero yung isa niyang manliligaw ay mas gusto ng kanyang family for her instead doon sa kanyang gusto. So, nagiging complicated na yung flow ng ating story. So, the rising actions are the part of the story which leads us to the climax. So, what is the climax? So, yung climax is the part of the story which it reaches the peak. Ito yung it's the most exciting part of the story. Or ito yung pinaka-kapanapanabik na bahagi ng kwento wherein si Princess, kailangan na niyang mamili between the two. Ano ba yung susundin niya? Yung puso niya or yung family niya? So, yun na. Pinaka-exciting part na yon ng kwento. Okay, wherein the conflict reaches a peak which then leads to a change in the course of events, giving the reader a new understanding of the story either through an event or an insight. Okay, so dahil ayaw nga, pero dahil kumbaga, sa una kanina, ayaw ng mga magulang ni Princess doon sa kanyang gustong prince. Pero, something happened. Alright? So, yung prince na gusto ni Princess, sinagip niya yung buhay nung kanyang parents one time nang muntik na silang madisgrasya. Okay, so nagkaroon na ng another event doon sa story that will lead to the following action. So, the conflict gets resolved and the action slows down. Siyempre, dahil niligtas ng prince na yon yung buhay ng kanyang yung buhay ng magulang ng princess, so nag-tame down si parents at nagpasalamat doon sa prince na gusto ng kanilang anak. Okay? And then, what happens next? Siyempre, papayag na sila na mag-continue yung getting to know each other ng kanilang anak at ng prince, which leads to the resolution or to the end of the story. The conflict ends, leaving the reader fulfilled, and they live happily ever after. Alright, so that is the part or the sequencing na meron tayo sa plot na binasa natin. Alright, so yun yung ating explanation about the elements of the story. So generally, okay, nandito pa lang tayo sa plot pala, alright? So first we have the characters, the setting, and then the plot. Okay, next we have the conflict. Okay, conflict is the central struggle or problem that propels the plot forward and creates tension in the story. So kapag walang problem, pag walang conflict, boring ang story. Okay, simple as that. So ito yung nagbibigay ng excitement sa story, 'di ba? For example, kapag may bida tas wala naman siya kinakaharap na problema, so walang something special about that character. Pero kapag may kontrabida, no, hina-highlight niya yung good characteristics ni main character. Alright? So that's the conflict. Yung central struggle, ito yung problem na kinakaharap ni character, which makes him a better character, okay, or highlight the good traits na meron siya na perhaps pwedeng lumabas na para palabasin yung theme, no, ng kwento. So what is the theme? Theme is the underlying message, lesson, or moral that the author conveys through the story. Okay, so theme, for example, it's about kindness, it's about not judging the person by its look, okay, or if the story tells us how to be kind, how to be generous, how to be humble. Okay, so those are the things. Okay, so again, remember, we have the 5 general elements of a story. We have the character, we have the settings, we have the plot, the conflict, and the theme. Okay, so that's it for day 2. We are now going to day 3, and day 3 is all about activities. Alright? So, activity time, it's identify me. So, we have here some words inside the box. You need to arrange the pool of words to the columns where they belong. Of course, when we say characters, so mostly it's a person, it can be animals, it can be things. Okay, so when we talk about setting, it will be places or time frames. Theme, it's all about perhaps values, okay, na pwede ninyong gusto nyong palabasin sa kwento. And conflict, for example, we have here man versus self, okay? Ibig sabihin, yung character itself, ang kanyang nilalabanan is yung kanyang sarili. Okay? Man versus society. So, yung kalaban ng tao is yung kanyang lipunang ginagalawan. Okay? So, for example, yung kahirapan. Nilalabanan niya yung kahirapan. Okay? So, man versus man. So, yung kalaban niya, for example, ay syempre, siya laban sa isang tao. Man versus nature. So for example, ang nilalabanan ni main character is may paparating na dilubyo, may paparating na pagsabog ng bulkan. Okay, so yun yung mga examples natin. Okay, so that is conflict. All right. Okay, so we have here a story. Elo the hero. It's from Rocky James Guevara, Sarasua. Okay. We have here a story. You can read this, and then afterwards, I know after discussing the elements of the story, okay, you can now answer the guide question. So basically, asking you what is the story all about. It is about Elo trying to save a goat. So who is the main character in the story? How do you describe the main character? So he dreamed of becoming a hero. Okay? So idol na idol niya sina Elastic Man, sina Captain Barbell, yung ating mga Filipino superheroes. Okay, so what did the main character of the story save? So yung goat. If you were the main character, would you also do the same? Why or why not? Minsan nakakatakot. It's not easy. It will took courage, no? Talagang yung tapang mo masusukat dito because not everyone is willing to risk their lives to save, for example, a pet or a dog, a cat. Diba? So, yung test of character talaga ito. Okay, so what is the main idea or main lesson that you learned from the story? And do you know someone who is as heroic as the main character? So napakadali nun nating makita nowadays because ang dami nang nagva-vlog, ang dami nang nako-caught on cam, risking their lives, especially kapag may mga disaster like mga baha, they are saving those dogs na natatangay na natatangay ng baha, something like that. Okay, and how can you become a hero or heroine of your own? And are you willing to be a hero? Okay, given the chance. All right. So this time, the next activity is you need to arrange, okay, the sequence of the story based on the story that you just have read. All right. So naka-jumbled ito. You just need to arrange it. What happened first, next, until the end of the story. Okay, you can always go back to the story if you're having a hard time arranging or sequencing the story. So this time we have here a story grammar. Okay, based on the story, Elo the hero, fill out the graphic organizer below. So just need to categorize. Okay, so the story title is Elo the hero. So who are the characters in that story? Where and when did it happen? Okay, what is the theme of the story? Okay, for example, it's about being a hero. What is the plot? Okay, how did the story started? Okay, what is the yung rising ng story, conflict, and then the climax, and then the end of the story. Then identify the conflict. All right, so it's just like putting the story into its different categories or elements. Okay, and for day 4, what have you learned? So this is all about your takeaways from the lesson. So the topic that I already knew, the topic that I just learned. So for the first one, ano yung what you already knew? The second one is ano yung new learning? And then the last one is the topic that you want to know more. Okay? And for your formative assessment, we have here a multiple choice quiz. So provide a letter of the correct answer in your respective answer sheets. Alright, so it's very easy because it is all about the story you just have read. Alright? Okay, so we have here a 10-item short quiz. Oh, it's 15. I'm sorry. Alright, and for your homework, okay, you can watch a short story or video about the father and his son and create a story grammar using the graphic organizer. Okay, so to present the different elements of a short story. And with that, I would like to say thank you for being with me for half an hour discussing the elements of a story. So I hope you learned something from our lesson for this week. And I hope to see you again next week. So this is Teacher Isa. See you again. Bye.